the perfect words to give form to our feelings and make things complete. Set the matter at rest, yet in hours of searching, each piece lies rejected, too precise, too difficult, too sweet. But look into the wide skies, and the thoughts may come like this, and these could be words from Paul to you all. When I come to the end of my journey and I travel my last weary mile, just forget, if you can, that I ever frowned, and remember only the smile and me at my best. Forget the rest. Remember some of the good that I've done. Forget that I've stumbled and sometimes fell by the way. Remember I have fought some hard battles, but also won some by the close of the day. But forget to grieve for my going. I would not want you sad for a day. Remember me when I loved you most and you loved me most. Remember me when I was my bravest and I did you right. And know that the bird in the mist is returning to the sun and is at peace. Good morning, family and friends. My name's Matt and I've got Carl with me today, and welcome to Westella, where we have come to mourn the death of Paul Lewis Brown, who most of you all know as Brownie. Welcome seems such a strange word, as most of you would not think you'd be here today. But sometimes life is not fair, and this is certainly one of those times. Paul leaving this earth when he still had so much life left to live. But we don't get to choose who stays and who goes. Paul was taken from us suddenly and unexpectedly far too soon on Sunday, the 4th of February at the Launceston General Hospital. I know the last week has been incredibly challenging for you all with the passing of Paul's father, John, who was farewelled last week. Our sympathies are with you all at this sad time. We know that both Paul and John would be happy to be reunited together again, as they were close throughout life, and now they can be close again up in heaven. Paul wouldn't have wanted a big fuss made today, but I'm sure he's here looking down, thankful for your attendance. He wouldn't have wanted you to dwell on the sadness and loss. Instead, remember all the good times that he spent with you all and those memories throughout the years. This ceremony is an opportunity to honour Paul's life and say our final goodbyes. Afterwards, we'll take Paul over to the hearse and have placing of flowers where you can all say your own private goodbyes. Then he'll take his final journey to be cremated. In memory of Paul, donations are being made today to Beyond Blue. And if you haven't done so and would like to make a donation, the donation box is just behind me along with the QR code. And the memorial book to sign your names. The family would love to look back and remember who was here today. Paul's family sincerely thank each and every one of you for your attendance, love and support here today. They'd love for you to stay here at Westella, where we'll go inside, have some eats, some drinks and reminisce on the good times that you spent with Paul. But to begin today, I invite Paul's children, Luke and Zoe, to please come forward and light a candle each for their dad's soul. Yeah. As we light these candles in memory and in honour of your dad, we light these for our grief, for our memories, for our love, and for the hope with the road ahead. May the glow of these flames be our source of hope now and forever, letting you burn bright within our hearts. Throughout life, Paul's kids were his number one. Then it was the Bowls Club's second, and third was his beloved Saints. Paul was a real sportsman. He was a good cricket player. He played footy with Castra. He played golf, but most of all, he loved playing bowls between Penguin and Ulverston clubs, where he was competitive on the green, but also loved a drink and a yarn afterwards in the bar. And when it wasn't sport, Paul enjoyed fishing, especially up at the lakes. Paul was witty, good fun, and had a great sense of humour. He loved a beer and enjoyed good music. But let me take you back to the start. It was the 7th of October 1959 when a baby boy named Paul Lewis Brown was born in the walls of the Ulverston Hospital to Val and John Brown, and a little brother to Peter. The family lived in Quiggins Grove in Ulverston, and Paul attended Sacred Heart and then went on to Marist. He had a great upbringing and loved playing with all his Gillard cousins. They have so many great memories together. He started his first job working at General Accident Insurance in Burnie, and he later became the manager there after a lot of commitment and dedication. He ended up being there for around 15 years before he went out on his own to be a freelance insurance broker. So we can say insurance was his main career throughout his life, which he was good at. And as you know, he was an organised man, with everything being documented, written down, and even highlighted. It was this time in the 80s he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which really affected his life. Paul met Gina, and they later married in 1981 at the Penguin Uniting Church, and they were married for 15 years. Even though their marriage didn't last, they had 3 beautiful children: Luke, born in 1984, Dylan in 1988, who lived for 6.5 months, and sadly, Paul was never really the same after this. And then the family was complete with the arrival of Zoe in 1990. They lived in Penguin as a family at Ashwater Crescent. Paul was a great dad, always playing with the kids, and everything turned into a game. He loved taking Luke to the Penguin football games and taking him to play sport, where he even coached, including footy and cricket in grades 7 and 8. He was always happy to put his hand up. And he was a very family-orientated man in his day, and was a loved uncle by Jared and Emma. After Gina and Paul parted ways, he moved back in with his mum Val at Guns Plains for a while, where he would come and go. Over this time, he had a few lady friends along the way, but nothing substantial. His life mainly compiled of playing sport and putting his kids first. Paul loved playing bowls right up until recent years, and if he wasn't home, he'd be at the Bowls Club. His kids can remember many counter meals at the Bowls Club, and it seemed like they were always there. Zoe can remember being there on the weekends, talking to all the old ladies while her dad was on the bowling green. After insurance work, Paul did a bit of bar work at the Gentlemen's Club in Ulverston, which he really enjoyed. Around 12 years ago, Paul moved in with his dad John at Alexander Road and lived there until around 2 years ago when John moved into care at the nursing home. He really looked after his dad while living there, and Paul was a meticulous gardener. The lawn edges were perfect. Him and his dad, John, they had pigeons, they loved card games, and of course watching all of their sport together. Paul ended up having a fall and was sent to the Royal Hobart Hospital. And when he got back, John had moved into the nursing home. So Paul moved to Burnie. At this point, he was really out of sorts, which is understandable. His diabetes couldn't get stabilised, which didn't help his mental health. He then moved back to Ulverston for a while and then eventually moved back to Burnie, where he had a little unit on Aileen Crescent and he was doing well. Paul loved his grandkids. He was Poppy Paul to Carter, Charlotte, Jack and Parker. Paul will be missed for his sport knowledge and trivia. He was a smart man, especially in the mathematics field. I know Luke and Zoe, when you look back at all the good times, your dad taught you right from wrong and would have done anything for you both. Zoe, he would call you his little sweetie, and he loved you both beyond measure. And to Paul's mum Val, no one should ever have to attend their own son's funeral. Our hearts do break for you. Paul will now be your guardian angel until you all meet again. And Val wishes to personally thank all family and friends for their support and being here today. We will now take a short time of reflection, and there'd be no other way to do this than listen to Paul's beloved saints.
When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, oh how I want to be with Secular. When the saints go marching in. When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, oh how I want to be with Secular. When the saints go marching in.
With no dark clouds surrounding me, I can only see sunshine ahead. Although I do regret what has been left unsaid, if I could have said goodbye to you all, especially those I loved, I would have. But it was my time to leave. You may never understand, but for me, I'm now at peace. What breaks my heart is that there was no time for goodbyes. I loved you all, even though I didn't show it, but I get that I'm not there. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Yet, the words I leave you with now are the ones that mean the most, you see. I ask you to please forgive me. This is really important to me. Live your lives to the full and really look after each other. Be kind, respectful, and love well. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the dash, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could all just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash may only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? As we close this ceremony, let it remind us that we are all on a journey, a bit of a ride really, the ride of life. And we need each other because life on this earth is not infinite. Paul will be fondly remembered in more ways than we can possibly put into words. Remember the significant moments and all the good times that you had with him. Paul, you are now at peace and you will live forever tucked close within the hearts of your family and friends. I now have a little verse that was sent to Zoe by one of her friends. Those we love can never be more than a thought away. For as long as there is a memory, they are in our hearts to stay. Thank you, Zoe, for sharing that with us today. Tenderly and lovingly we commit Paul Lewis Brown to be cremated, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. Paul, may you forever rest in peace.